Hey, my name is Jamie Arndt, and in today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to train your thumb to play a bass line and your fingers to play a melody line simultaneously while playing blues guitar. This is really crucial if you want to play solo blues guitar, something that's really part of the acoustic blues tradition. This is great if you're playing solo or accompanying yourself or someone else singing or playing another instrument. The guitar can be a really great instrument to play solo, though when it comes to blues, a lot of us spend most of our time learning lead lines, playing over jam tracks, or soloing, but there's really a lot you can do just with you and the guitar. Thank you to my friends at TrueFire for sponsoring this video. TrueFire is an incredible online library with thousands of lessons from some of my all-time favorite players. Their mobile and desktop app has a lot of great features, including HD multiple camera angles with synced tab and notation, and the ability to slow down and loop lessons. Check out their All Access package, which provides streaming access to all their courses, song lessons, and much more. And if you click the link in the description below, you can save 30% off your purchase with the promo code ARNT30. So the way we're going to start this is by playing an example of a 12-bar blues that sounds just like this. So pretty simple as far as the way it sounds. This is not something you might play through all the way like this. This is an exercise to get this sort of thing happening. And if you'd like to get a tab PDF of this lesson, go ahead and check my Patreon page, which I've linked below. On my Patreon page, you'll find lots of other transcriptions, exclusive lesson videos, and more. And it's just $5 a month. And one thing you're going to notice is that your fingers on your picking hand might want to fight this sort of independence if you've never played fingerstyle guitar before. In day-to-day life, our hands love to function as a unit. When you go to, say, pick up your phone, all your fingers grip at once. But when you're playing guitar, on both your fretting hand and your finger picking hand, you want to be able to have independence. And what we're going to do is imagine that your guitar is the full band and your thumb is the bass player. So your thumb is going to play a consistent bass line all the way through. And in this case, the bass line is going to be eighth notes. And these eighth notes are going to fit in sort of a shuffle groove. So these are going to be swung eighth notes. So we're going to count them like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So in this example, we'll be playing a blues in our favorite blues guitar key of E. So the first thing to do is to play through this entire example just with your thumb playing the bass line. For our one chord, we're just going to be playing an open E. For our four chord, we're going to be playing an open A. And for our five chord, we're going to be playing this B on the second fret of the fifth string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2. 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 3, 4. Then to the four chord, 5. Bar 6. Bar 7. Bar 8. Here comes our 5 chord in bar 9. One other little subtle thing I'm doing here is I'm slightly muting that E string. I could do it not muted, but really to give it more of the sound of a bass kind of thumping along and having more of a muted presence. I'm using just a little bit of this part of the palm of my hand against the strings. Not so muted that I'm losing the pitch, but enough that it's staccato and short and just has this sort of thumpy sound to it, so I can differentiate it tonally from the more ringing and sustaining sound of the upper strings. So here's a breakdown of the top part. You're just going to go from the third fret of the high E string. We want to give that a slight bend. There's this magic note in the blues that's somewhere between the major third and the flatted third. And so this is the flatted third in the key of E. G, we're just going to bend it ever so slightly. and then bend it right up into that open E string. So the rhythm of this is 1 and 2 and 3. 4 comes in on beat 2. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and we go to the 4 chord, it's going to be the same thing. Same melody. Back to the 1 chord, same melody. Keeping it simple here. Then when we get to the 5 chord, we're going to switch the melody, but it's really easy. We're just going to do the same thing, but on the B string. 3rd fret, slightly bending, and then open B string. All right, because we're playing over a B7 chord there, so we're playing that root. Then when we go back to the 4 chord in bar 10, we're going to switch it up a bit. We're going to play the C sharp, 2nd fret of the B string, and then an open E string. That's the 3rd of A and the 5th of A. So we're playing chord tones. We're making it sound like you can hear that the chord is changing. And then we're going to go back to our E melody, 3-0 on the high E string. And then when we hit the 5 chord again in bar 12, we're going to do 3-0 on the B string. So one important thing to note about putting these two pieces together is to really have them solid by themselves. And then to really get the feel, it's all about muscle memory of playing both. So if this thumb pattern feels comfortable, it's really easy to put stuff on top of it. So I can play whatever I want because the muscle memory of this, the comfort is really locked in. So if you want to just sit around and watch TV and do this just to really get that thumb worked out, you can do that. And then you're going to take this bar by bar. Don't worry about the whole 12-bar form at first. Just 4. Just do that first bar, which ends up being a lot more bars than just the first bar in this example. And one thing that's helpful is because our melody rhythm is 1 and 2 and, it's going to attack at the same time with your thumb. So you really just have to worry about the thumb playing by itself. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And I'm using the 3rd finger of my picking hand to play the melody. So when I switch strings, I'm just taking that thumb and I'm moving it 1 string over. Same melody. And then back to the 1 chord. Now for my 5 chord, I'm using my 1st finger on the 2nd fret of that B. And I'm using my 3rd finger on my fretting hand to play the melody. And one thing that's really important is that you're not thinking of that B like a bar chord, otherwise that open B string couldn't get out. So you want to leave it slightly arched so you can play that open B string. And then we're going to do an open A. And for this, since we're playing our melody now on 2 different strings, I'm using my middle finger of my finger picking hand to play the B string, and my 3rd finger of my finger picking hand to play the high E. And then everything else we've already done. So this exercise will help you gain this sort of finger independence so you can come up with more complex examples, throwing in actual chords in addition to melody lines and bass. The idea when you're playing solo guitar is you want to fool the listener that there's actually more instruments or more guitars being played than there actually are. All right, let's take a look at our second example. In this example, we're going to make the bass line a little more complex. So your melody line is going to still be the same, but we're going to just add a few more things that link one chord to the next and add a little more motion to our bass line. So it's going to sound something like this. So now our bass line is going to have a little more complexity with a little bit of this kind of blues classic cliche bass line. So that's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on beat 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, we're going to play an open A string. Even though we're still playing over an E7 chord, we're going to play an open A and then down to a G. And I'm playing that G with my third finger of my left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so we're going to do that a total of 3 times or 3 bars. And then on the 4th bar, we're going to walk it up into the 4 chord. That's going to happen in bar 5. So that's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we're into our next bar. So 1 and 2 and 3 and that's a G, 3rd fret of the E string, to the 4th fret of the E string. And then if we kept going chromatically, meaning up every fret, we'd land on an A, but we want to use the open A. So we're still walking up chromatically. We're just now switching strings so we can utilize that open sounding A. And this gives us a little bit of walking. So here are the first 4 bars leading into the A, the 4 chord that happens in bar 5. And then when we get to our 4 chord, we're going to switch to the A. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and when we get to the and of 4, we're going to hit a G, just another kind of melodic note to keep our line a little more interesting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's going to be that same pattern. And then we're going to shift over back to our 1 chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So in that 8th bar of the phrase, 1 and 2 and 3 and we're going to walk it into our 5 chord, right? Into our B7. So we're going to go E, 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 E. And then we're going to walk up chromatically. A sharp or B flat to B, because that leads us into that chord. So from bar 7, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so when we walk into the 5 chord, we're going to go from the open A to the B flat, that's the 1st fret of the A string, into the 2nd fret of the A string, that's the B, that's the root of our 5 chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and then back down, 4 and that's 2nd fret, 1st fret, into our 4 chord. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so we're going to walk it back down the same way we did earlier. A, G, and then we're going to go back to our E, 1 and 2 and 3 and now beat 4, do that A sharp or B flat, 1st fret of the A string, and then into our 5 chord again in bar 12, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and then we'll finish it out with that. So here is how the entire bass line sounds by itself. When we put them together, it's going to be similar to the last example. Your thumb's just going to be a little bit busier, which means the muscle memory and repetition of the top line that you're playing should really be locked in so you can focus more on what you're playing on the low end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1. Let that high E string ring out too. So when the high E string rings out, you can change up your bass line to this new phrase, but if that note continues ringing out, it really gives the effect of another instrument playing. It kind of separates it and gives off this really great illusion of two guitars playing. Check it out. Walk it up. And you can take this concept, and once it gets more comfortable, you can start playing more complex things, whether it's double stops, single note lines, different chordal passages. So whether it's Robert Johnson or Big Bill Broonzy or Eric Clapton, being able to play solo acoustic blues guitar is really important. And one of the most important things to create this sound is to really get a strong bass line and strong melody line or strong chordal line on top of it. Thank you for watching this video. Once again, my name is Jamie Arndt, and I'll see you in the next one.